agent, as Peter customer, could sort the data on that statement. Who am I speaking to the most? I see I have overages on my cell phone bill. Let me sort by overages and figure out why it is that I'm exceeding my normal plan every month, and what can I do as a customer to help mitigate this? I assure you, your average user out there, your average customer, wants to do this. And not just because every weekend the PGA licenses out something called the leaderboard. And they license it to ESPN and CBS Sports and all these other people. But this is their #1 page, if you will, on their website, the leaderboard. Because every weekend, golf fanatics are bombing these pages, trying to gobble up all the information that's on there. If you can imagine what the #2 visited page is on the PGA.com's website, the statistics page. Now, what that tells me, this is their feedback to us, what that tells me is that your average sports fanatic wants nothing more than to consume a pile of data and just noodle around with it, figure out. Now, let's play this forward. Fantasy football, now in swing, now that the NFL's kicked off. Fantasy football, fantasy baseball, fantasy everything. Right? Loads of people are wanting all this information, they might be making some money off of pools and such, but nevertheless, the whole point is that the average consumer really, nowadays, does not have a problem dealing with data. Okay, but it's got to be easy, fast, and simple. This is really the crux of customer-facing BI. It's the notion of the customer wanting to actually help themselves to information at their discretion, at their leisure, on their own time frame, in their pajamas, whatever they want, when they want, and so on. Gartner defines self-service business intelligence as end users designing and deploying their own reports and analysis within an approved framework of tools within the organization. We've taken that definition and modified it a little bit with something that we call info apps. And an info app, we've actually got the trademark on this, which doesn't, we just couldn't fit the name. But at the end of the day, it's a vehicle by which you allow anybody, doesn't matter what the user definition is, to access information. So our definition of the info app is simple, intuitive, highly interactive web and mobile BI apps, not tools. Quickly figure out that a fraction of all those employees would even remotely be interested in producing content. They will, in all likelihood, be more interested in consuming content. Think of a recruiter, HR. Look, I just want a listing of open headcount open positions by department within the company, by location. So, like in our software under the covers, that equates to some kind of query, right? But for the average end user, the last thing they want to do is, select this, that, and the other from this table, join to that other table. Too much. That's the last thing a recruiter wants to do. They want to maybe go to a web page and say, click, 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 run. And that feeds me out. I remember for the longest time, you could go to most anybody's website and you would see at the bottom some disclaimer that would say, this site is best viewed with this particular browser version and this, that, and the other. Anymore, you don't see that. In fact, I wager anymore you don't see that, because anymore, if you put that on your site, you're going to have a problem with the customer, because that should not be a problem nowadays. And in our case, the whole point of this illustration is that most of what we build is build once, deploy anywhere. So again, I build it once. Doesn't matter if I'm viewing it on a Mac. Doesn't matter if I'm viewing it on a mobile. It's all kinds of stats about, how much does it cost to retain a customer, how much does it cost to acquire a customer, and all these things. But we can spend the rest of the day talking about that. What really matters is, how do I keep my customers? How do I know they're happy? And in the context of BI, we might be talking about, are they deriving value? And I've already said it before, I may simply choose, because I'm wired this way, the version that looks newer. Even though the other version might do exactly the same thing, I still might choose this one because it looks cooler. So it's important not to overlook this very fact. Right? So I'm a small business. I've got 50 employees. I give everybody cards. It could be a gas card, could be a spending card, could be any number of cards, right? But I, as the business owner, I have a portal that I can go to, and I can monitor, see, and analyze anybody's activity at my discretion. They've blanked it out here, but basically right there it says select card. I choose the card I want to see. Boom. Activity. The first page they deliver to the user is a simple dashboard view. It's easy to look at. I'm not necessarily overwhelmed and bombarded with information. But is the detail there? What if that user, again, the user's not afraid of data. That's another fallacy that people don't, they want to be spoon-fed everything. Nope, here's the detail. So I supplied some criteria, how I wanted to see it, when, for what date range, some other information, boom, get report. No training, no specialized software, and guess what? This one application can ostensibly answer loads of questions. Why? Because there's choices for the user. Well, today I hit run and I selected these things. Tomorrow I might select some different things and hit run. And you know what? 5 minutes later I might select some other things and hit run. So, but I'm not going to a different front end. And this does what it does and doesn't do what it doesn't do. That's a big thing here.